Hello, and welcome back to Cannabis Marketing Live, all puff, no fluff. I am your host, Kendra Losi, and this is Cannabis Marketing Live, where we bring you the brightest, boldest, and most badass tools, technologies, and marketing minds in the industry. All right, so with us today is Jamie Cooper, CEO and founder of Cannabis Connect. And if you have not met Jamie, I'm sure you have, or you've seen her around. She's everywhere. She is awesome, and she's putting together, she has a company, Cannabis Connection, which is a whole connection place for services and business professionals in the cannabis industry. I'll let her talk about it, but in the meantime, we are here. She is here to talk about three things. One, Facebook advertising. She has some tips and tricks for everybody. Two, using influence as a tool for advocacy. And when we think about influencers, there's a lot of different things that come to mind. So she's going to dial us in and tell us how to do it. And three, how to build connections and relationships with local state officials. It is something that is necessary for all of us. And so that is why I brought her on today. Welcome, Jamie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So to start off, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you ended up working in the cannabis industry?
Well, Jamie Cooper, and I have a pretty good story. You know, I started 4 years ago, and it doesn't feel like it's been 4 years. It's crazy. It feels like it was like a year ago, but at the same time, it feels like it's been forever.
Yeah.
So, I live in Michigan. I live in Grand Haven, Michigan, and I moved to Michigan in November 2014. 2014 was the year that Colorado legalized cannabis. I was in Breckenridge, Colorado when that all went down, and I was working in the ski industry. I was doing marketing for a vacation rentals company in the ski industry, and I had a pretty good job there. And what was going on was I was interviewing for my dream job in the ski industry, and this job was with Keystone Resort, and owned by Vail Resorts. Mm-hmm. And I'm a goal setter, and I'd always make these goals to right. Get higher than I currently am. And I wanted a marketing manager or public relations manager job with one of the ski resorts. Mm-hmm. And I got to that point where I had several interviews, and they told me I was going to have to take a $15,000 a year pay cut in order to take the job. Oh my gosh. And the thing about living in a ski town is you're there for the experiences. You get the opportunity to live where people vacation. Right. And reality kind of slapped me in the face at that point. I was like, man, I tapped out of my marketing career here, and what do I do now? So I had met my husband in Breckenridge. And by the way, Breckenridge, if you don't remember the show High Profits that was on CNN. Okay. Make sure you check it out. It may be on Netflix or something, but so it was a show. They were recording High Profits while I was living in Breckenridge, and there was always this buzz around the town that CNN's in town and recording, and it was following the story of some dispensary owners in Breckenridge that pretty much had to move their business from downtown Breckenridge to the outskirts of Breckenridge. Oh, and so it was a great storyline, because this is something that businesses sometimes face, unfortunately. And so I met my husband in Breckenridge, and he grew up in West Michigan, and it came to the point where we were like, we got to move, we got to go somewhere else, figure something else out. And so we decided to move to Michigan, which is where he grew up. And as soon as I got here, I was like, I'm already getting an itchy throat.
Oh, no. I love Breckenridge.
As soon as it's amazing. Yeah. I miss it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Every day. As soon as I got here, I started thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? All the marketing jobs required drug testing. I just moved here from Colorado. Of course, I wasn't going to pass a drug test. And so that kind of weighed on my mind a bit, but I stopped smoking, I stopped consuming cannabis. All these problems came back.
Oh no.
There's something to this.
Right.
And so I was like, what's going on in Michigan? And actually, I think this was like Super Bowl Sunday. 60 Minutes had a special talking about the first year of legalization in Colorado. And I watched it, and there was a woman on there. Her name was Meg Sanders. Sorry, my throat is itching again. Jeez.
That's okay. Take your time. Take a breath.
Okay.
Make sure you're okay.
So Meg Sanders, she owned a big establishment. It was called Mindful in Colorado. She had a big grow facility, processing, and then dispensaries. And her story, I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. Just have to do this. And so I got involved. I was really interested in a couple organizations. I got a scholarship to go out to Los Angeles to attend the World Congress, the Cannabis Business Expo that was happening out there. And I just started kind of like reaching out to organizations in Michigan. There was an attempt to legalize 4 years ago, and then Michigan Normal. I started reaching out to them. I'm like, how can I help? What can I do? Can I do social media for you? Like, how can I get some experience on my resume so I can like get a job? And no jobs. Like everything like in Michigan was kind of unregulated, and so I was like, then I'd start talking to my dad about it. I'm like, Dad, really want to get into this industry, blah, blah, blah. And he starts like talking to me about it. And finally I was like, Dad, I'm quitting my job. I'm starting a marketing company. I have to do this. Got to the point that like, as I was researching the opportunities, I became obsessed with it. I could not stop.
Isn't there something about it? I did the same thing. Like I had a client and I went to one event with them and I came back and was up till like 3 a.m. researching.
Yeah. And then it doesn't stop. I'm sure you're still doing. Like,
that was it. That just that one time.
I'm always feeding my brain about this. Like, and I've become so just like interested in it and on all levels.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I quit my job and I started a marketing company for the industry. Now, in Michigan 3 years ago, when I started my company, there was no. There were no commercial. It was it was
no
unregulated.
one wants to market when they're all like illicit businesses.
They don't have to, and that's the thing about it is they didn't have to.
Yeah.
Because there weren't a whole lot, and it's like if I build, people will come. You don't have to spend the money on marketing.
Right. Now,
California, Michigan. Sorry guys, but that's going to change. You're going to have to market yourselves. You're going to be up against some really big budgets. And so, like I wasn't really making a whole lot of money with my grand idea of starting a marketing company. And so then I really, like I said, I kept feeding my brain, and I just felt the need to share what I was finding out and reading and figuring out, and so that marketing company slowly transitioned into a consulting company where I was offering a lot of consulting, like municipality approval kind of work, lobbying, and then it just like that marketing company broadened out so far, and it came. I had to just sit down and go back to the drawing board. It's like, how do I want to continue with in this industry, and then there came Cannabis Connection. It was an idea last October, and then I launched it in January.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and here we are. I mean, we're doing really well. It's growing slowly, but I'm in a really good spot because the Michigan industry is going to boom very soon.
And everyone's starting to get ready for it. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. Okay, so you're going to be able to articulate what Cannabis Connection is better than I did. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So Cannabis Connection is a business-to-business networking and marketing platform. So the intentions of it, it's free to business professionals, anyone who is building a business or has a business in the cannabis industry, but it's paid to the service providers that want to market their product or service to those building businesses. And it's a membership level. So I offer probably like 6 or 7 different memberships. and you can purchase a biannual membership or an annual membership. And in that membership, I produce content in the form of written pieces and webinars to help and to make it into a business accelerator and be a tool for those that are trying to build these businesses.
Which is amazing. To have that resource from somebody who's in it and going through it is absolutely amazing.
Right. Well, and it needed to happen because I just kept hearing people ask questions and all kinds of different questions, and there's no place for you to find all this information. And it just really, after seeing everyone's needs, and I just had to do it, and it was all aligned with everything that I wanted to do. I wanted to continue hosting events. Mm-hmm. I wanted to continue marketing companies, and I wanted to continue connecting people, because it's so satisfying for me to connect two people and see something amazing come out of that connection. And so, and then as part of it, I create the marketing materials, but then every month I host monthly networking events across Michigan to help bring people together face to face.
That is amazing. And at some point during the day, I assume you sleep.
During the day, I am a pumpkin. I turn into a pumpkin at 9 p.m. Oh. I'm not kidding you. 9, 10 o'clock, I'm I gotta go to bed. I can't. And it's probably because but then I wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Let's go. So.
We could just talk in between, because I usually don't fall asleep till 2 or 3.
Yeah. I can't even keep my eyes open after 10. Whew. I'm what happened to me?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have friends like that too. All of them have children, to be clear. That I think is a factor in that.
You have a child. You kind of have to work your schedule around your children's schedule.
Exactly. So your story is so fascinating, and I love the passion and energy that you have, and you always have it. Whether it's, whether you're turning into a pumpkin or not, you always have that just such fiery, passionate energy around what you believe in. So I want to really focus that. And one of the things that you mentioned was your media company. So starting with that, one of the things that you've been able to do that some people have struggled with is creating Facebook ads. Now, I know the ones that I've run, I get so frustrated with the inconsistencies. So tell us what it looks like. How do you run them? Especially when Facebook has such high alerts on stopping people from doing so. Right.
Well, I've been doing advertising. Well, I was doing Facebook advertising when I worked in the ski industry. As you know, vacation rentals in the ski industry, it's a very saturated thing in Breckenridge, Colorado. I mean, my company had 150 properties, and there were probably 10 other companies that had that or even more. Mm-hmm. So it was very competitive. And I tinkered around a lot with Facebook advertising and trying to, sell specific properties and things like that. So that was where I kind of gained my knowledge with it first. Mm-hmm. And then I already had that base knowledge, and I started just kind of tinkering around with ads and seeing what worked. And actually what I did was I invested into a marketing coach, a business marketing coach, and learned more about it. And it was one of the best investments I made. And in fact, I had to get an investor, right. To pay for it. And it worked out because I found somebody who was willing to do that.
That's amazing.
And I was I want to do this. Here's my plan. Here's how I'll pay you back.
Yeah.
Will you invest? And it worked out. And so I took these an 8-week course with this business coach, and I just went with it. I put together a 10-step webinar. 10 steps for starting a cannabis industry in Michigan. Which I have one of those going currently.
Yeah.
And so what I was doing was I was using advertising to filter people to that webinar. Right. As part of the strategy, I created a group, And that group is now 3,000 people.
Good job.
Concentrated on the Michigan market. Yeah, and I started it 2 years ago. It was right after our governor signed the set of bills for our new commercial licensing system. That was when I started the group, and it built, and I just used it as a resource which is, I have so many groups I manage now doing the same exact thing, and it works. It really works. But it takes so much time and energy. Like so many people start groups and then they just don't go anywhere because I don't think you realize how much time and energy it takes to manage it.
It is so much work to moderate groups. I think that, to your point, absolutely. People jump in like, oh, I'll just start one. They're easy to start. Anyone can do it. Really fast, before we go off of this topic, because I want to ask you, I have a couple more questions for you for Facebook. Can you tell people or put it in the comments after the show what that group name is? Because Facebook doesn't allow searches. So if anyone is in Michigan and interested, I want them to be able to have access to that group.
Well, and here's one thing I want to make note of. My group's name is Cannabis Connection Michigan. It doesn't have the word cannabis. It doesn't have the word marijuana.
So you're showing up.
I'm showing up. And that's something that, So if you have a group right now that has marijuana or cannabis in it, change the name to something that it doesn't have that. Because there's some sort of flag that, whether it be marijuana, cannabis, and I'm sure that they have other things out there.
Right. They're not just stopping with those three.
Yeah. So I got really lucky that I haven't had any issues with that.
Well done. Okay.
Thank you. And you can, by the way, to build your group, you can also use Facebook advertising to push people to the group. But you can't just use your group URL on Facebook. You have to bit.ly it.
Gotcha.
Or something. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so back to your tips and tricks on Facebook advertising. So if cannabis is a flag word and a key trigger for people that are at Facebook that are going through the ads and reviewing them, what do you recommend to people to put in place in order to get their ads approved? What considerations do people need to take into account?
So it's you have to be really. I wouldn't show pictures of product.
Right.
I think that's a first no. Even raw material, like plants growing, it's still a little iffy. So most of the video I use are very business oriented. I use the words cannabis and marijuana, but here's the thing: is Facebook does not want you to promote a product that is federally illegal. So that's what you have to do. You can't promote a product that's federally illegal. So don't promote product, don't promote sales, don't try to drive people to your website where you have sales. What you have to be really, really creative. And one of the things that I have used is advocacy. Like Facebook has it specifically stated in their policy that you can run advocacy campaigns. You just can't promote product. And what happens, I think, is Facebook, no matter what, they're probably going to deny you. And what you have to do is fight. Because imagine how many people don't fight. They don't put in the fight. They just get the denial and they're like, oh, good try. But what I did is I fight really hard. I get denied. I appeal it. I explain my case. You have to become your inner attorney. But, I explain my case. They might deny me again and say this is our final thing, but I keep poking the bear. I'm like, no, you are wrong. You are, and then at some point you might have to pull the discrimination card, because it really is discrimination. Because some people might get one approved. It's all dependent on who reviews your ad. And here's the thing. So let's say Stacy rejects your ad, and then you appeal it and you state your case, and then Jeff approves it.
Right.
So it's just really important. You have to be willing to put in the fight, and sometimes it's exhausting, but Facebook advertising is very low cost. Like, I've gotten an ad down to 1 cent per click.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
You can't get any better than that.
No, that's amazing. I think that a lot of Facebook ads goes into targeting, and I don't want to get deep into that right now, but to Jamie, I just quickly, while you were talking, typed out some of those tips that you were just talking about and put them in the comments for people that go back through. They can see those and just highlight them so they'll be able to see the timestamp too. So if you guys are watching the replay and you have questions about what Jamie's talking about, feel free and respond, and both her and I will be keeping an eye on the comments. But to your point, absolutely. I ran the same ad for a client, and all he did was swap out pictures of people, right? So it was running in Seattle, Portland, and Los Angeles. To target it, I didn't want to run the same images of people, but all of the words were the same. And it was an educational product. And 2 of them in Seattle were approved, 1 in Portland, 0 in LA. And it was absolutely like appeal. And when they stopped, I didn't think about pulling in discrimination. I just was like, this is education.
Hey, right.
And
then
eventually,
another thing you can do is it's not working. Like, this has only happened like 2 or 3 times. Like, crap, I'm not winning this battle. They stop responding to me is what they do.
Oh gosh.
So then I copy the ad, change it up a little bit, and try it again.
I did that. I swapped out a picture. I swapped out a woman on the beach for a guy on the beach, and boom, whatever it is, it was enough of a change. It's just so crazy.
Right.
So your 3 tips are put up the fight, be smart about what you're promoting, and don't break their rules. So figure out how you can use advocacy in what you're doing. And the first one that you did, because I just listed those off backwards.
Well, and it's like, that's know their policy. Like read their policy. If you have not done so already and you're trying to do Facebook advertising, it's really important. I mean, there's some restrictions behind the photos and different things. They make it clear what they don't want to see. So just abide by that. And another thing, you got to be careful with contests. Facebook has a really strict policy about giveaways and contests and stuff. One time I had an entire Facebook account shut down for a company, and it was because I was trying to give away. I learned my lesson on this one. It was I know, I'm like, God, that was so stupid, but it was a little lipstick pipe.
Oh, but my gosh.
It looked like lipstick. It looked like lipstick. You just took the pipe off, or the little cap off, and there's a pipe, and yeah, I got that.
I love that you tried that. I love that you tried that.
Right? Well, I just wanted more likes, more shares, and
no, I love that you tried that.
Contests are, I'll get a client that, like a vape company that wants to do something, and they want to do giveaway. You just can't give vanilla.
No, right. One thing is that on the modamarketing.com site, I actually went through all of the social media sites and put the terms of service that relate to cannabis in one place with links to where they are. Now, that's not best practices for the advertising side of the best practices, because some of the things Jamie just talked about were the best practices of the ads, right? Like, you can't have 30% of the image over 30% of the image can't be text, and whatever those ratios are. So make sure you're looking at that. But if you're curious at all about the cannabis related terms of service or community guidelines for the different social media sites, it's all in one place on my blog.
And one last thing.
Yes.
Videos perform better. Period.
Yeah.
Video performs better.
Hands down, right? Like, it's crazy. I have been to so many social media conferences this year, and every single, Social Media Day Denver I wanted to go to, but I was at the one in San Diego, and it was also awesome. But the entire thing was 100% about video and how to use it and how to use it well.
Right.
So yeah, it's performing in ads, it's performing organically. Hi guys. It's performing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my last question around Facebook ads before we switch topics is, one thing that I've heard from people is that they're really concerned about if they try to run an ad will that basically flag their page for Facebook and ultimately lead to them getting shut down?
Maybe. Well, I mean, I have a partner that I work with a lot, and he runs a lot of Facebook ads. He owns a staffing and payroll company, and his name is Anthony, and he owns THC123 is the name of his company.
Awesome.
And when he started building his company, he was using a lot of Facebook advertising, because what he's trying to do is supply jobs for the industry and get these jobs filled. And I'm pretty sure they flagged him, because I even saw this reflected. One time I put some I made him, like, we were hosting a networking event together, and I put him in as a host, and I was hosting like 3 other networking events. The ads on the other 3, no problem, but the ad on his would not, and I'm pretty sure it's because his name was attached to it and he got flagged.
So that's, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, that has to be it. And thankfully, I haven't had a flag, but there's something, I don't know what the policy is, but there are some things that really, like, that they won't allow you to do, and they'll flag you for it.
So not just flag from an advertising perspective, but flag the page itself and potentially shut the page down. Do you, in your mind, and do you think the two parts of Facebook are connected?
You know, I believe that they shut pages down because you're promoting product, you're promoting a sale. I really think that that's what will do it.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I had a client who was did a live video of herself smoking out of a beautiful bong, but then she asked me if she could boost it, and I was like, no. No, of all the ideas, let's stop that. Don't even think about it.
Right.
Because stuff like that, I believe, would actually get your page shut down. So I think it's using common sense and being. My philosophy is to be as respectful as you can of the rules and figure out how to creatively get around them.
Well, yeah, you talk about the science behind the product and make it educational.
Right.
You know? I mean, you have to be creative.
There's one company here in San Diego that runs ads for their merchandise, meaning hats, t-shirts, their logo branded merchandise. And that is what their ads are for.
Yeah, that's smart.
That's
super
really smart.
And like I said earlier, too, like if you're trying to run an ad and you're pushing people to a website where you're promoting product a lot, it's not going to fly. That's why CBD companies can't really do it. It's a really touchy thing. And I think that there are I'm going to go back to Mindful, too, because when Meg was still owning Mindful, I remember her company doing a Facebook campaign, and it was like they would put together these graphics, and it'd be like, today's advice, be mindful, and it would have some tip on being mindful about something. And it worked. And it was sponsored, it was boosted, it was great, but they were a dispensary and they weren't promoting product.
And they had a perfect name for that.
Right? They did. That's why you need to be creative with your name.
That is a brilliant name to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, it really is. It was a smart strategy. Someone did well there.
Yeah, they did really well from the very beginning. Okay, just keep us on track as much as I can. I knew this was going to happen when I brought Jamie on. I was telling her that I was like writing out questions for her, and I had to delete at least half the questions because I always get so excited to talk to Jamie that I'm like, okay, and then let's talk about this. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, let's talk about this.
I know, we can talk forever.
We're not going to. Don't worry, guys. We're not going to. But, okay, I want to talk about how to become influential and use that as your influence as an effective tool for advocacy. And I want to break this down a little bit because I think that influential automatically means influencer, and we all have this image of that Instagram influencer in our mind. I think that people tend to think that in order to be influential, you have to have a huge audience. And there's a couple other just kind of things that people automatically think of when you think about influence and influencer and being influential that I want to break down and talk to you about, because I don't think that that's at all what you're describing and what you're thinking. So let's start with, what does being influential mean to you?
It means building trust with your audience and building that common ground and that trust to make them want to talk to you further or follow you, or and I really, that's how I would describe it.
Awesome. And then when like I said, I think that people think that in order to be influential, they have to have, hundreds of thousands of followers, or even 10,000 followers, or, what do you think that looks like, and how do people embrace the mindset of being influential without, even if they have, 200 followers or 500 followers or 1,000?
Right. Like, I think it's just operate, like, doing everything with integrity. And like I said, just being that educational piece, because, we're in the cannabis industry and people want to know all about it. Oh, and one thing that I tell people, when you get into this business, first of all, I hate the half-assers. I hate the people that, sorry if you're one of these people, anyone that's watching.
Wait, me?
There comes a point where you have to shit or get off the pot, and it's pardon my language.
No, yeah.
You have to fully commit to being in this industry, and you have to make yourself an advocate on all levels. Yep. Like, so to me, being influential was me being able to just become that advocate on all levels. And when somebody had questions about business, I could answer them. When somebody wanted to know how they can get their medical marijuana card, I can answer it. When somebody wants to know specifically how to use it, I can answer it. And just really making yourself like an educational resource on all levels.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think from my perspective, when I look at it, one of the terms that I heard that I really like, and I think is absolutely makes sense, and it helps people kind of embrace that idea of that anyone can become this, and that influencer is creating that minimal viable audience. So the minimum, you can even start influencing a small number of people, and then that will automatically start to grow for you and help expand that influence. But to your point, the more that, in order to be able to do that, you have to become that trusted resource, which was absolutely the very first thing you said when you defined it. Because I think that people can see through you, right? They're going to, there's no bother pretending.
I can see through everyone who is trying to get up in Michigan right now, and they have bad intentions. I have a good gauge for that. And what it took was lots of times of being burned. Or burnt. Yeah. But, it's unfortunate. I've gone through some really heavy burns, but I also at the same time respect them, because it taught me a lesson. I walk away with a lesson, and I know how to do things differently the next time because of it.
Absolutely. And that's so important, is being able to learn from those experiences and learn from, I don't want to call it mistakes, but learn from those interactions with people that might not be working from a place of integrity.
Right.
So once you have built, as you start building that in your area of influence and really focusing on building that trust with people and sharing that information and education, how do you use that for advocacy?
Okay, ask the question again.
So as you're building that, so you're building people's trust.
The trust.
How do you use that for advocacy? So
I leave myself open. Like, I really don't ignore a whole lot of messages, I can't get to them all. It sucks, I wish I could. But there are a lot of messages that I do respond to, and I just love to answer questions. I love to be a resource. And so I think that's the way I've done it, is just always been kind of a listening ear and been able to give at least just a little bit of time.
And I think that that's what you just said is so important, right? Is being able to listen, being able to respond, and you have to pick and choose. You can't respond to everybody. I don't know how many requests I get from people who want to be in the industry, and it's not that I want to start. At first I was saying yes to everybody, but there's time limitations. I got asked by
Right.
3 people, and I spoke yesterday at an event here, and I got asked by 3 different people for coffee to talk about getting into the industry. That's great, but it's also time on my side too, and I can only imagine the number of requests you get. Like, I would quadruple that.
It's exhausting. I mean, like, I feel bad not being able to get to every phone call, every email, every Facebook message. Like, I really bad, but I do have to kind of like, and I don't even look at all of them, I try to give a lot of time, and I do, and I've been spending the last 4 years of giving time, but there comes a time where you have to put your foot down, and you have to do what's best for you, your family, and
absolutely. And so when you look at, you guys listening, I think that's a really important part of what Jamie's talking about, is that anyone can become an influencer by educating yourself, providing resources for people, and building that audience for advocacy and being able to really promote cannabis and with integrity, right? In a way that's positive for everyone. We're all on the same mission here. I mentioned to Jamie earlier, one of the books that, if you're looking at trying to grow your influence and ways to look at doing that, one of the books that I read last year that I actually really enjoy is called Known by Mark Schaefer. And it's an excellent book on tips and reminders, I think, in a lot of ways, but also for business owners or people who are looking to grow their network and understand how they can become that influential person with a positive message for helping all of our cause.
Right.
So, along those same lines of being that trusted resource, the third area I wanted to talk to you about is how do you build relationships with local and state officials? So my first question is, why is that important? Why is that important?
Well, they're the ones that make all the rules, and most of the time they are very uneducated. So, yeah, like, it's really, really important. It's important at a local level, it's important at a state level, and it's important at a federal level. It's really important when you are in this industry, you need to know who your local leaders are within your community, especially if you're trying to do business there. You need to know, and if you're not trying to do business there, they're making the decisions whether somebody else can do the business there. Secondly, at a state level, they're the ones that craft the rules, the state regulated rules, and they need information. They're supposed to be listening to their constituents, even though, I have some state officials that won't take any time to sit down with me. I also live in the most conservative county in the entire state. So
well done.
And then, right, yeah. And of course, the congressional level, you need to know them, because they're the ones that could make those changes for us federally, which is what we need to see done. So know who your congressmen are, congresswomen, make an appointment with them. I guarantee mine knows who I am, and it's not because he's made an appointment with me. He
didn't reach out to you and be like, "Hey, Jamie."
Well, I went to a breakfast and listened to him speak one time, and it was me and someone else stood up, and the person with me, she stood up and asked a question about medical marijuana, and I think it was about banking too, and he pretty much came out and says, I do not think medical marijuana works, and he made it completely clear, and it's just, it's so, yeah, and it stinks, but then at this point, when you don't have someone that's supportive in the role, then you need to know who the person is running against that person who is.
Absolutely.
And become friends with them. And support them. If you have the means to do so, donate to their campaign, really push them. Let people in the industry know that they are supportive. And there are some, I have sat down with local leaders that are like, yeah, I'm really supportive of this, but I can't come out and talk about it for these reasons. That's fine. Then just make sure you're voting for it.
Right, don't get in the way.
Correct. Because, that's another way we can be influential, is we can boot these people out of office. And we really need, as an industry, we need to make them feel threatened that could happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that really requires joining together and paying attention to local government, local and state government, and federal, all government. Let's just say that.
Right. And by the way, I never in my life knew that I would be interested in politics. Like, I remember my parents would always talk about politics, and I made this rule. I'm like, don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about it. I don't care who you want to vote for. And it was mainly because I worked in television news for a decade.
Yeah.
I went into marketing, and I never voted while I was a journalist because I really, truly tried to be middle of the ground. Mm-hmm. Like, that was really important to me. And, yeah. And then I voted as soon as I got a television.
And then I haven't stopped.
And then I had a kid, and then it really got important for me. So
Absolutely. So what steps do you recommend people to take? Because I know that sometimes people talk about, getting involved, and it seems like this monumental task, right? Like, okay, well, that's going to be time. That's going to be money. I don't know who to go talk to. What are some steps people can take that are attainable, that can be done easily?
Well, first of all, research who's there. Research them. Just like Google them. Look them up on Facebook. Look them up on LinkedIn. Google their name. Like, research and find out a little bit about them. And then there's that one that you're going to research, and you're going to be like, ooh, I see common ground here. I see this topic that I could kind of have a shoe in. So use that. I mean, it really, really works. One time I got hired to take on to do a municipality to approach a municipality and try to convince them to opt into allowing licensed businesses. And in my research process, when I was researching the planning director, I realized that I looked him up on Facebook, and I saw that he and I had like 10 mutual friends, and I was like, what? And I went digging to see who those people were, and it was all people in Colorado, and I was like, oh, this is a little interesting. And there were people I know that were cannabis friendly, thank you. And I pretty much messaged one of those people, and I said, hey, here's what I'm doing. Could you make an introduction? And she made an introduction. After that, like, he responded immediately and said, hey, let's have coffee. And we had coffee, and at that point, I was on the planning commission agenda, and then I was on the city council agenda. And it's just, sometimes it's that easy. You just have to try it. And sometimes you won't get responses, or they'll be like, no, we're not interested. You're going to take some no's, and you just got to learn how to take it. I mean, I hate when people tell me no, but I don't give up. That's one thing about me is, like, I don't give up very easily.
And that's actually really important. And I have so much respect for people who are not in states like California, right? We had a networking event here, and there was 3 different people running for local governments who were there to say that they were pro-cannabis. And, another one ended up at another event. Like, there are actually some people here, at least in San Diego, are really courting this audience because they know how influential it is. And then you see the flip side, right, of states that are not California or Colorado or the West Coast, in general.
Yeah.
And see how much harder that mountain is to climb, right? Like, how much more work needs to be done there. So a huge amount of respect for you and others who are doing that similar work to really move those mountains, for sure. It's just a lot. So know that it's appreciated from those of us that have the luxury of being spoiled.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would be a lot harder in Idaho or Nebraska, I'd say.
Right, yeah. But still, there's people who are, there's people in Texas, there's people all over the country who are really working hard on this. And all of you have my tremendous respect, and I think a lot of ours.
And these people don't get paid anything for it. I mean, it's not like doing this work is not a high paying job. I'm lucky to get hired by somebody who wants a license, but sometimes I don't, and sometimes I show up because it's important to me. Like, I can't stand the thought of not using my voice for it, especially when it's, 30 minutes away. You know, so it's really important for us all to stand up and help each other out. If you hear that this is being discussed in a county next to you, go support, because getting people to show up feels impossible sometimes. Like, it really does. I can't believe people won't show up and people won't stand up for this.
And that's how, you know, it's power of numbers, right? It's strength in numbers. One of the things that that wasn't on our list of things we're going to talk about, but I would like to have you talk about it a little bit, is you put together a campaign last year that was the Be Bold for Cannabis campaign. It was amazing. It was everywhere. Can you please talk about that and tell us how you came up with it and tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, it was Be Brave.
Be Brave. Cannabis. Well, bold.
Yes, but yeah.
Be Brave. Sorry, I swear.
And actually, I'm not going to take full responsibility for it. I was a big driving force behind it, but there's a certification clinic that's in Grand Rapids. They had kind of started it on their personal website, and they were trying to take video testimonials and written testimonials and doing that. And I approached them because I saw it, and I was like, wow, this is brilliant. This is really smart. And so Jessica and Natasha at Green Gate Health, I give them so much credit for that. But I approached them and I was like, hey, I think we need to make this a social campaign and a hashtag campaign. And so we started working together. We had like 2 or 3 different attempts at it, to where we the whole purpose was to encourage people to share their cannabis story, use the hashtag, and it got out there. You know, we had a little bit of media behind it, and I'm actually working on another viral possibility, and I'm feeling really darn good about it. And in fact, like, we're probably going to launch it in the next 2 weeks. And it's something that I really think that will go viral. It does require video. I will tell you that.
It does, or it doesn't? Sorry.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
It should.
It does. And so, anyone who's listening right now, if you are interested in being a part of this and sharing your support for cannabis, get a hold of me, because I'm looking for about 25 people that are willing to do this. And I talked to the legalization initiative here in Michigan. They are very interested, and they see some really great things that could come out of it, both in the form of fundraising and awareness about all of the different ballot initiatives that are going on this November. There are 4 states that have a ballot initiative to legalize either medicinally or recreationally.
Absolutely. So here's my request to you is, we'll talk about it offline, but yeah, so you guys, if you're interested in helping Jamie and being part of this awesome campaign, and I already know it's going to be awesome because the Be Brave for Cannabis one was just absolutely amazing. Be sure and reach out and contact her. I'm going to put her contact information at the bottom here, and then maybe I will. Give me 1 second and I will.
Yeah, and I'll talk to you offline about the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll talk about that. Let me make sure I can get your contact information here. Whoops, one more. Sorry, I loaded all the graphics up and then...
You're the producer. You are the host and the producer right now. I totally understand.
I know, here it is. Here's the one. There it is. There's her contact information. Boom, right there. There's her Instagram, her Facebook, and her website. So reach out to her. Reach out to Jamie if you are interested, which takes me to the speed round. Okay? I've got a few questions for you. Nothing's crazy or hard, but it's just fun. So we're going to go through these and see how many we can get and how quick we can go. Ready? First one.
Okay.
What is your favorite cannabis product that you're using right now? Or can you list one because you have so many different clients?
Does it have to be a specific product, or can I say the way I consume?
How about the way you consume? We'll take that.
I'm a dabber.
Are you?
I surprise everybody with that, but yeah,
really?
I'm a total dabber. I am a flavor seeker. I look at, I'm all about it's the flavor, but dabbing is for the pros only, okay? Don't be a rookie consumer and try to dab.
Don't go straight from zero to dabbing.
Correct. It took me years before I could handle a dab. But it's the flavor of and I have introduced a lot of people to dabbing though, but it's the flavor of like some of these concentrates and the way they're doing the process is like, I crave it. Like, I love it so much. And, flower to me is stinky. I don't like to smell like it too much, and dabbing is a little bit less smelly, I'd say.
So edgy of you.
I know, but yeah.
That's awesome.
And I'm a big bath bomb fan.
Oh, yeah.
Bath bomb, I love baths, and bath bombs are the most, like, I do it right before bed, and it gets me nice and relaxed, and I sleep like a baby.
So what's your favorite brand of those? Because I'm taking notes.
Well, they're all Michigan specific.
Right. So in Michigan, which one do you like there?
I have a friend that makes them for me.
Oh, even better. Even better.
Yeah.
So back to the speed round and not my other questions for you. Indica, sativa, or hybrid?
Sativa.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, like I love Durban Poison. That's like my all-around favorite strain, probably. I haven't had it in a while, but yeah, like I really love these strains that have that really strong lemon flavor.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And usually, it's sativas that usually have that. So
yeah. Okay. My last question is do you have a favorite quote or, actually I have two more, sorry. Do you have a favorite quote or mantra that you live by? Some people do, some people don't, so I thought I'd throw it out.
Yes, I do. It's in my email signature. Hold on. And it's related. Well, and the funny thing about it is it's totally related to this whole advocacy thing. So, okay, let's see here. It is... Okay, so it's Harriet Tubman, and it's always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world.
Oh, I love that. I haven't heard that before. That's really good.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. That's why it's in my email signature, because it just really drills in everything that I believe and everything that I want to do.
Oh, I love that. I can't believe I've never heard that one before.
Right?
That's awesome. Okay, so that was my second to last question. I know you're in Michigan, so you have different brands, and most of my guests have been here from California, with an exception of Jesse in Montana. So, what are there any products that you feel in Michigan that are doing marketing well, or can you?
Yeah. So,
let's hear.
California, we're making this transition right now from the unregulated to the regulated industry, and yeah, there's quite so it's hard to, like, I want to talk about different products, but those might not be around in 6 months.
Right.
And it's sad to see, but I'd say my favorite, so there's a company that I've been seeing all over social media, but I've never seen I haven't tried their product, but the way they've been branding and marketing lately, they're just new. They really grabbed my attention. They're Take Confections. And they're going to be here in Michigan. I don't know who is running the company really, but they grabbed my attention. Also, I'd say Candescent.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I am dying to try their stuff. Like, they are the gold standard example of the way a marketing company or a cannabis company needs to be marketing their products. They're being educational. They're focusing everything around lifestyle. Their packaging is beautiful, and I have different opinions on packaging. I think you should have great packaging when you're taking photos of your product. But to be honest, like when you go into a dispensary, you want to see the product. You want to see the product. You're usually not buying because of packaging. But when you're showing pictures of like Candescent is doing an amazing job. It's obvious they have a staff photographer, and every cannabis company that wants to go somewhere needs to hire a photographer. So. Oh
yeah, right. It's part of telling the story. It's part of building your story and your image and what you want to do. Absolutely. There's actually a group here in San Diego. They've done 2 of them where they bring in models, and you can bring your products, and they do a whole day photo shoot workshop thing.
Oh my gosh! And they market that to the cannabis businesses. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's like a pop-up photo shoot, right? So they bring the models, you have to pay the money, and you'll leave with a bunch of pictures for everything. Isn't that so smart? I see the wheels turning.
Right?
I know, when I saw that, I was like, oh.
Yeah. It needs to happen. It really needs to happen. I've always told companies that I work with, I'm like, just bring in the staff photographer once a month. Just, that's all. You know, it really will go a long way. And, you know, we talked a little bit about influencers. I think companies that have some sort of influencer program, that's really great, because those influencers are producing content that you need to be pushing out there. So
absolutely. And it really helps. And as we all know, creating content is a lot of work. It doesn't happen by itself. And once you start, it is hard to stop. It's even hard to slow it down.
And if you don't do it, you're going to struggle.
Crickets.
Right.
That was my last question. Jamie, you have been awesome. I lied. I'm already lying to you. My last question for you is, where can people find you?
CannabisConnection.com is my website, and you can email me directly, jamie@CannabisConnection.com. And let's see, Facebook, like I'm all over the place. It's hard to miss me. So
where can't we find you? Let's try.
I know. I'm like, and people do ask me if I sleep, but I really do. I do sleep, and but I'm a go kind of person. My mind doesn't stop. I have a little bit of ADD, so don't judge me. But yeah. But I've learned how to use it as a superpower. And that's what, if you look at the backgrounds of all, really successful entrepreneurs, they had ADD too. Okay.
No, it's totally true.
So, right?
I live by that as well. Like, what? I'm sorry. I have to work really hard, actually, to keep these interviews on track and not go in 40 different tangents.
Right.
And on that note, I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure, if you made it this long, thank you so much. You guys have a ton of information from Jamie. It's always awesome to hear from you, Jamie. You know how to get a hold of her. It's down on the bottom of the screen. And if you have any questions, let us know. Let us know what state you're watching from, too, because it's always helpful for me to be able to know where to pull people in from what state. And can't wait to see you guys back here next week. We'll be talking about public relations, which is so important. All right. Thank you guys very much. We're going to be wrapping it up. We'll see you next time. Let me finish. All right. Bye.